Hello, TikTok.
Well, TikTok's over here. They can't see you on this camera.
Oh, that's right. Hello, TikTok.
You can just yell.
Hey, we're live. We're live everywhere now.
Okay.
Patience. Not like medical patients.
Right.
Patient. Patience.
Okay.
So the obvious discussion in patience is that, every generation that goes on becomes more and more impatient and,
more and more impatient.
Okay. As every generation goes on,
Okay.
I think. And that's that's the big umbrella discussion. It's,
Okay.
You gain more patience as you get older, all that stuff I know. Well, I want to touch on the fact that isn't it interesting how our technology and our ingenuity as humans and our efficiency all meld together over generations to create a society which caters to our inert impatience.
I gotta think through this one. So yes, I think technology has made us a lot more impatient because the speed that we can acquire things or knowledge or information is so rapid now.
Go deeper though. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Could it be, because you just said that our technology advancements have made us more impatient, but has the technology advanced because of, I don't know, the want or the internal demand of humanity for things to be quicker and faster and more immediate? You think we caused that?
Well, I think yes, but I also think that's just the speed of development. Like anytime you're developing, you're always going to make things better, faster, more efficient. That's a development life cycle, right? So anything you do, like I'm not going to say, let me make this slower, let me make this less efficient, right? That's just not how we work. So
we have efficient. Now you're blending the concept of efficiency and you're marrying it with
speed. I'm blending things together. You are correct.
No, but I'm saying, is that correct, or is that a chosen meld?
I think speed and efficiency can work hand in hand if done correctly. Sometimes speed can make you inefficient if you're not monitoring them both. Like I look at, in a business or just in any situation, if you move with speed in the right way, you eliminate a lot of wasted time, wasted energy, right?
Okay.
The quickest path between 2 points is a straight line, right? So that's, speed and efficiency, right? Same thing with a lot of things you do in business or just in life in general. The problem is sometimes people, when they go too fast, they miss things. So then it can make things inefficient because they're missing things. So you got to get really good at both.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. And it comes to the patience thing. I think people go so fast in certain instances because they are impatient, but they haven't built the skill set or the wisdom or the knowledge to understand the steps along the way to make sure they don't make the speed make the process inefficient. If that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. So what you're saying is speed for speed's sake oftentimes is detrimental to the process.
Correct.
The quality of the process.
That was a more eloquent way to say it. Yes. But you're right. Like I think if people are going fast for the sake of fast, doesn't always work. If you're going fast because you know a better way and you cut through all the shit, then yeah, that's the whole point. You make things more efficient by doing that.
Okay. I think about just things in my lifetime like this, like U.S. mail used to be a real thing. It was really, really necessary in the 70s.
I still love it.
And the 80s. I mean, but I'm saying that we really, as a society, really depended on first class mail.
Sure.
And I used to collect stamps as a kid. And I remember they went from like 11 cents to 13. That was a big deal.
What do they cost now? I don't even know.
I think 75 cents or something. Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't realize that. Okay.
But I'm saying, like, when you would mail a first class envelope to California, as early back as the 70s, it could be a week to 2 weeks before that letter would show up at your relative's house in California.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Now you think a first class mail envelope might be like 2, 3, 4 days maximum coast to coast.
Yes,
I mean, so that is intrinsic, but I guess everything in our modern day society is always geared toward faster.
Yeah.
more immediate gratification.
Right. Amazon Prime, perfect example, right? You can get people to buy more stuff if you get it to them quicker. I'm the perfect fucking target. Like, let's be real. Like, I have Amazon Prime. It's like, hey, I think you need this. I'm like, absolutely, I do. Like, how did you know?
Same day.
Right. We'll get it to you tomorrow. I'm like, great. I'll go through it faster. Like, think that's part of the process, right? If you just take, for instance, if I order like protein bars or energy drinks, right? If I get it tomorrow, I start consuming it.
Sure.
So I'm just going to buy more because it's become a habit of mine.
Certainly.
If it takes 3 or 4 days to get there, then over time, they'll make less money. So the goal in any business is to make things faster.
Right.
Because you get people to consume more and then you make more money doing that.
Okay. I think of, I think Fred Smith is the founder of FedEx, and he did it. I think it was mid 70s, early 70s, maybe. The idea of like, I'm going to take a package, offer a service, and deliver it anywhere in the country the next day.
Yeah.
For college professors, everyone told me it was out of his flip of mind.
Wow.
But it's like that, it's that expediency. Like, we need to deliver things quicker. And I guess we understand it in business. I guess it yields more money. People will pay a premium to have things faster.
Absolutely.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
But you step back the 100-mile view, like, as it relates to society and how we deal with each other, are our expectations blurred often? I mean, it's almost like, I've noticed it in business over 30 years or so, because technology exists to potentially help communication or help the process of business. It's a pretty broad topic there, the process of business, the mechanics of business. It's like, not only do we expect goods and services to be delivered quick and to work in a certain way and with efficiency, but we also have taken that urgency, I think, into the way we communicate with each other.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's always a one-to-one.
Well, no, I think, look, if in business, I think you have to operate with urgency. I think it's the expectation, like in my business, that's the expectation of clients, is that we operate with urgency.
Is it a differential from firm to firm?
I think if you want to be good, you operate with urgency. Like, that's what I mean. The way I operate with clients is I always operate with a sense of urgency. Everything I do when it comes to business is urgent in my mind. Not saying it is actually urgent, but in my mind, I'm like, I got to get this done. I got to move. And then I prioritize the urgency. But there's not one time I'm like, I'm just going to sit on this and screw around for a few days. It doesn't need things. Now, can I miss something occasionally? Sure. But I own that. I tell the client, like, that's my fault. I dropped the ball on this one. I missed this. I didn't operate with the urgency I normally do. But I operate with a sense of urgency in almost everything I do. Because to me, that's part of the discipline I have, right?
Yeah.
The time I wake up in the morning, the things I do every day, like, everything's an urgency to me. Because if not, then it's not I don't put a level of importance on it.
Yeah. And I do understand it for business. And I think that we equate immediacy with good service. I think maybe that's always traditionally been there, but certainly in today's society with the web in general and all that comes from the web, that's almost a requirement.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just I don't know. You're
saying like in personal relationships, like it's different.
I think there can be. Well, I think it definitely is true, but in certain circumstances, there can be a negative bleed over to our social and our personal lives, the expectation of immediacy as we blend it in other relationships.
Okay.
And I think we're triggered, or our expectations are set in business because we want things to run efficiently, quickly, and we associate that with profitability.
Sure.
I think at times that built-in expediency, we take that and we start to extrapolate it in our relationships.
Okay, so I agree that urgency spills over into personal relationships, right?
Yes.
But I also look at, if the things that are important to me, I operate with urgency.
Certainly.
So I look at, if I'm not operating with urgency, that relationship is not important to me.
Okay.
So I kind of look the same way to other people.
Okay.
Like, I get my biggest pet peeves. I really have only two, right? if you invite me somewhere and you show up fucking late, that pisses me off more than anything.
Certainly.
I didn't invite you.
Certainly.
So that means you did not operate with urgency and you value your time more than mine.
Right.
Right. That pisses me off, number one. Two, when people don't operate with urgency in matters that are urgent. Those are my two pet peeves.
Let me ask you this.
Like, you send me a text message, like if you're a friend of mine, you send me a text message and ask me a question. I respond with a question and you don't respond for 4 hours. I'm like, what the fuck did you do? Just throw your phone in the lake?
It's very infuriating.
And I have one friend, two friends actually, that I know have done this over my life. Both of those pet peeves. And I'm just like, no, I can't do it anymore. Because, like, to me, if I didn't answer your question, I responded with a question because I needed more information
or clarification
or clarity to respond. And then I don't hear from you. It's stupidity.
That's just laziness too.
It's laziness. And like, I don't give a shit unless you got hit by a bus and you're in a coma, pick up the phone and respond. Or if you invite me somewhere, show up on time or pick a fucking time that works.
Right.
I've had friends that have invited me somewhere and showed up an hour late. An hour fucking late. Yeah. On multiple occasions.
Okay.
So I don't take those invites anymore. I mean, no, I'm good. See you when I see you. Again, to me, even in personal relationships, operating with urgency, I think, shows value to the other person. I value our relationship. I put priority on our relationship. I'm going to operate with urgency. It's important to me. But if I don't operate with urgency, I equate urgency with importance.
Yeah, and there's a whole element of the concept of consideration that goes along with that too. As part of why you do that. I guess what I'm getting at is, and you might be the wrong person to have this conversation because you are so driven.
Okay.
Someone that might not be wired as driven as you are. I just wonder about expectations of expediency we have now, that with a lot of things in society, but I think they ultimately rub off, unfortunately, in our personal relationships at times. And and we don't.
Are you saying that the urgency rubs off and people expect urgency in everything now, or people aren't acting with urgency?
No, I think people expect more urgency in life in general now because our technology has propelled us where there's a lot of immediate gratification or the perceived immediate gratification.
So what I see, I agree to an extent. However, I see it a little bit differently. I see that, yes, there is an expectation when you are doing something for me. I expect urgency. When I am doing for you, I'll get to it when I get to it. I see a lot of that, even in the younger generation.
That's a problem.
But I see it in the younger generations. Like you said, younger generations become more impatient. I agree when it comes to people doing things for them.
As a consumer
of the relationship,
of
a product, a service, yes, they're very impatient. When it comes to having them do something, I don't mean to speak in generalities because it's not everybody, but I've just noticed it more in the generations below me that it's not that urgent to me. Like there's no prioritization.
So that sounds more like a self-centric.
It's a self-centric thing.
Difference, maybe.
Yeah, and to me, it's like if you operate with urgency in everything you do, it's pretty easy to be successful in life. Because you'll be head and shoulders above people. You address things as they come. You hit them head on. You don't procrastinate. You don't kick it down the road. You take accountability. Like you do that type of shit. It's pretty easy to be successful. But most people, they get very caught up in themselves. And they get very, I expect the urgency from you, but that does not mean I have to equate the urgency what I'm doing for you.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Like I can't figure that out. I've tried to extrapolate and figure out like why that is. but I can't.
Because we've got so many examples of life running at a breakneck speed and urgency and everything we're consuming or that we inquire about often.
Yeah.
So the precedent for a flow is there, but we push back when we have to put effort into things.
Yeah, I think people have the expectation of urgency towards them, but not urgency from them. I mean, I watch it a lot. Like you'll see, because again, I think people get caught up. Like, and again, I don't mean to speak in generalities, but the younger generations, the ones who haven't necessarily figured out what they stand for or who they are, they don't operate with a sense of urgency like they need to. Because to me, urgency is everything. Urgency is the game changer, the differentiator.
It's finite.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Like and it usually, like when you're dealing with any situation, right? If I call you and I have a problem, right? But just you're selling me guitars. I order a guitar from you. I have a problem with it, and something happens, and I call you or email you, and you call me right back, like, yeah, totally problem, yep, easy fix,
absolutely,
no problem.
It's the only way to do it. You
don't call me back, and I call you back, and you don't call me back again, and you wait till the next day. Then I'm fucking pissed. So whatever you say is not going to matter. I may act like we're good, of course, we're good, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this motherfucker did not prioritize me as a customer of his. So, like, you are now a service provider to me.
Correct.
You are not a partner to me.
Correct.
You are a service provider.
Correct.
So those service providers can be replaced very easily because they can get guitars anywhere. They came to you because of the service you provided.
Right.
The customer service you provided.
Right.
If you reach that trust, you come back into just like eBay. If I can find the same guitar cheaper, I'm not going to go to you.
Yeah,
that's what very much don't understand. Like especially in the business world, people will pay a premium for urgency.
Well, they'll pay a premium for urgency, for speed,
yes,
for response.
Yes, absolutely right, 100%. So if you operate like that, you're always going to keep the clients happy. You're always going to keep the customers happy, and they're going to keep coming back to you. But if you don't prioritize the urgency in a situation, then you become just a basic service provider.
I find that phrase interesting that they just talked about, where we are very impatient when it comes to us being served, but we turn it completely around when service is required from us.
Right. We're lackadaisical when it comes to serving others.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I see, and again, this is just my perspective, right?
Yeah, that would scream a very self-centric people.
Yeah, I mean, I see that in a lot of the service providers I deal with.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, when I need something from a service provider, it's like, I'm thinking of one company we deal with in general for one of our benefits plans. They've done nothing but piss me off because they've screwed up a bunch of times. And I said, all I want someone to do is communicate with me and say, we fucked up, we'll own it. Pick up the phone and call me. It's all it took.
Right.
All it took.
Right.
I'm switching providers.
Right.
And this was, and I'm a pretty good fucking referral source. Like the type of clients they need are the 500 to 1,000 clients I have. You just lost that pipeline.
Right.
All you do is pick up the phone.
Well,
act with urgency.
And that's the bigger picture viewpoint that
people don't get. They want to put their head in the sand because they knew they fucked up a couple times. They knew it. I was pissed. All I wanted was someone to say, yes, we did it. Thank you for catching it. It won't happen again. If it does, we'll fix it.
Yeah, just fall on the sword.
I wasn't asking for money back.
I get it.
Just fall on the sword.
Yep.
No one did. No one did.
Yes, that's a common occurrence.
And that's frustrating to me because that's such a simple thing to do. All someone had to do from their management team was pick up the phone and call me. Hey, dude, sorry about that. Appreciate
especially now in 2024, right? Because there's so many ways to reach out and touch a customer.
Yeah.
And some of them are so impersonal, but would be satisfactory to most customers if it came in the form of a message.
Should be text.
An email. I mean, it isn't like
Yeah.
4 years ago where you had to actually have that voice conversation, right? I mean, there's so many ways to touch out.
When you do that, when you have the voice conversation, it's 100 times better.
1,000,000%. But the courage level is just not out there in a big way for people to have voice conversations.
And that's sad. That's sad that we're at that point. People can't pick up the phone.
It's obvious, right? I mean,
Like, just pick up the phone.
It's obvious.
Like, I'll do that. Like, if I get a text message from someone that's longer than one page, I just pick up the phone and call them. I mean, I've literally, if I have to go like this, and there's like a paragraph,
yeah,
and it's like you know, in bit, I'm not going to talk personally, like
yeah,
business.
I get it.
I will pick up the phone and be like, hey, what do you need? I sent you a text. I'm like, yeah, it was too long. Just this is a phone call. If you have to type a book, we should probably have a phone call.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
what's going to happen is I'm going to type something long, and I'm going to waste 20 minutes in a conversation that can take 2 minutes on the phone. So I will be the guy that just picks the phone and says, what do you need?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna read all this. When I was in corporate America, I remember Ashley, who works for me, I would get like long emails from like our controller or our VP of finance. I'd forward her like, just summarize this for me. I don't know. Just tell me what is needed, because it would be like books and books. I either say summarize this or just call him and tell him to come over to my office, please. Like this, there's no reason to write all this in an email.
Yeah,
it's just, sure. It's just like it was stupid. So again, that art of conversation is gone too.
It is, and I don't think that's coming back.
That's sad. Then I'm fine with that, because I'm fine with doing it.
And isn't it funny, because the form of immediacy and immediate communication used to be the phone call. That was the de facto standard.
100%.
Send someone a text, you're waiting for a response. You pick up that phone and you call, and if they answer their line, it's the moment of truth.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of people. That's why people don't call anymore, because they don't like to think on their feet.
Well, they're hiding.
Yeah, well, that was that study that I think Harvard did when they talked about why the younger generations don't pick up phone calls.
They want a time to contemplate.
Well, that's right. Like we grew up thinking on our feet. So if somebody calls me, I'll pick up the phone and just talk. I can think on my feet. The younger generation, they want to be more thoughtful, which I appreciate, right? Like they want to be more thoughtful in their response and have time to contemplate and know what they're getting into, which is a good way to look at things, but it also shows a skill set that's lacking.
Okay, so not to date myself, but I remember 83, 84 getting my first answering machine.
Ooh,
and I know they were around for business in the late 70s, but they were expensive. They were tape players and all that nonsense. And I got the first time I had a consumer answering machine on my countertop, and I'm like, holy crap, someone's on a call. And I would intentionally not answer the phone and sit there and just be amazed that this machine would start playing and my voice would play. And I'm like, this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
But, it's like the concept, which is now, how many generations of voicemail have there been since then? But the point is, there was a moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of changed the society. We we were pulling back a little bit, and look what's happened now.
Yeah.
When people hold, I mean, I don't. People hold real friendships or even intimate relationships with people that they see once a month, and all their communication isn't by voice, it's by texting or emailing or IM or whatever that is. It's just nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
it's nuts.
The world is definitely different. And I think coming back to the original point about being impatient, I do think people have grown impatient with certain things. And again, I always think when people are being served, like look at when you go to a restaurant. Yeah, if you have to wait a few minutes. Like I worked in restaurants, so I'm never impatient. Like I know what it's like. It's not the server's fault ever.
No,
it's totally never the server's fault.
Right.
Like they're at the
they take the brunt of it though.
They do, and that's why. But there's people that get so pissed, like they have to wait. Like they're so impatient.
But just think about everything is immediate. Fast food. It's called fast food. McDonald's spearheaded it initially, and everything that's grown from that. Then DoorDash. Now they'll deliver your fast food. You don't even have to leave your couch now.
I don't leave my couch. I use that shit all the time.
That's what I'm saying. It's like everything is just continually.
And I'm okay with that in certain instances. I do think as human beings, we do have to learn to slow down every once in a while. Like I've learned that a lot, even over the past year.
You remember he said that?
Well, no, but I have, because here's why. Like I know myself, right? Like I'm constantly moving 120 miles an hour. like the last quarter of this, the past quarter, second quarter was just a complete shit show, like just crazy. So I'm learning to slow down a little bit. So that's why I got sick when I was on vacation, just because I was just running so hard all the time. And that was the first time like I actually I slowed down a little bit and like everything broke down. So I realized that, okay, I need to make sure I slow down a little bit more often, because
so the body knows what this is.
Well, that's really what it was. Like I thought through that, because I can go months without a break and just keep and nothing happens. And when I take that break, it's just like, you slowed down. Let's just bring all the shit to the surface now. So I'm realizing that because we do move so fast and life is so quick, that we have to make a conscious effort to slow down. And I'm learning that, and it's hard for me a lot of times to do that, but I'm really trying to enjoy things a little bit more, like look at life a little bit differently, be in the moment a lot more.
Easier said than done.
It is hard. It is very hard, but sometimes
not impossible.
No, it's not. It's not. When you surround yourself with the right people and you make the conscious effort to do it, because you understand the benefit of it. Like I know now, like there's a lot of people that depend on me. So like I have to be at my best all the time. So
certainly
to do that, like I have to slow down or I will combust. Like I've realized that.
How have you learned to manage expectations of others in regards to patience? And I guess some people say grace. Like what kind of journeys have been for you understanding the concept of patience? Impossible.
That's the hardest thing for me, because here's why. Like I was thinking that today, actually. Like my door's always open, right? And I'm always there to help people. And a lot of times people will just come to me when they need something, because they don't have the patience to wait, right? So, I'm going to always help people. So that's the dilemma I have, right, as a leader. Like I have to be there to help my people, to answer questions for them, to help them when they need it. I know that, but there may be times where I'm in the middle of something, and like people will just come in. Like Gabe will do it all the time. He'll walk in my office, and it was just, I could be like deep in thought, like looking at a document or reviewing something that like I just need, and I don't want to shut the door and be closed off from everybody. So that's a struggle for me. That has been my biggest struggle as a leader, to tell people, give me an hour, come back in 2 hours, or can you save all your questions for the end of the day? Because I don't want to slow them down. Like I know that I can handle it and I can adapt quickly. I know that if I don't answer their question, it'll sit with them all day and nothing else will get done.
That as you grow, the more of that'll be a struggle until a mechanism is put in place to deal with that.
That's what we haven't figured out yet. And that is the biggest struggle I have. I know that I'm very self-aware of that is the biggest challenge I have as a leader. Because every day, at least 10 to 15 times a day, my day is interrupted. Which is fine. Like that's my role, right? And I can adapt. So if I was a person that couldn't adapt, or I didn't get up early and get ahead of the day, like if I just came in normal hours and had I would never be productive.
Right.
But I know that's going to happen during the day. So that's why I get up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. That's why I'll do an hour or two of work before I even get to the office. And that's why I get in, at 6:30, 6:45, because I know it's just Matt and I there, and I can get things done, and him and I can have our discussions we need to have and get all that stuff out of the way. But it's, and people are getting better with it, definitely, because I think they're recognizing that. But it's always going to be a struggle for me.
Certainly. What about in terms of employees or even friends, family in your social circle? I mean, have you had, I don't know. I mean, have you had like a journey with patience in terms of other expectations of others? Or are you still working on that?
You mean my patience I have for them? I've always been a pretty patient person. Like I've never, at least people may think differently or look at it differently, but I've never been, it's not a lack of patience. It's a lack of urgency that frustrates me.
Okay.
Like I can be patient if someone's working through a problem or needs help with someone, I will sit there and help you as much as I can, right? Take as long as we need. Like if you have legitimate questions, you really want my help, I'll stop my day and sit with you for an hour or 2 hours, and whatever we need to do. I'm super patient when it comes to that. Like I have the patience of a teacher.
Okay.
When it comes to that. Where I get caught up is when people come to me or need something, friends, family, colleagues, clients, they didn't operate with a sense of urgency. Now they're at a point in time where they have to, and now it's on me to solve it for them.
Yeah.
That's where I get frustrated. It's like, hey, if you would have just taken time earlier, we could have sorted this out. I would have been able to help you and got through this. Now we're operating under the gun. I don't like that. I'm a good pressure player.
It's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. That's exactly right. It's a waste of energy. That's where I get frustrated. When we push up against a deadline that we shouldn't have had to.
Do you have more patience now?
Yeah, I think so.
Than when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was probably a lot more impatient. Because again, like there's not much in life that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, like I tend to be like, I talk about stoicism all the time, but it's truly helpful. It's if I can't control it, why get bothered by it? I can only control my emotions and how I react to things in my own actions. So I do think I have a lot of patience. I have zero tolerance for bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning that. And sometimes I put up with the bullshit and take on the frustrations on myself. You know what I mean? Like I won't call the person out on the bullshit. I'll just get frustrated about the bullshit and let it fuck my head up. So I'm learning, like I have been very nice and I have been very kind in the way I operate as a lawyer, as running the firm with clients, where not that I've gotten walked on, but I've given a lot of leeway on certain things, which can frustrate me sometimes.
Well, no one likes to give too much latitude, especially when it comes back to bite them.
Well, it's not even that. It's I will give all the latitude in the world if I'm getting something back, if I'm getting the urgency back.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give the latitude to, like, if you tell a client, just call me whenever you want, and meaning like, hey, if it's really important, like any time of the day, call me.
Certainly.
But when someone's just calling me to call me all the time, just that's where it's like we got to start setting boundaries in certain things. And it's with employees, again, like I'm very lenient. I'm very helpful, and I want to encourage them and motivate them and inspire them all to grow and be their best. And it's always going to be my job to watch to make sure if I'm giving them the bandwidth to kind of spread their wings, they've got to actually be spreading their wings and not just sitting on the stoop waiting for someone to push them off.
For sure,
because that's not a way to operate.
Yeah. What about the idea of employees being patient with each other?
Impatient with each other?
Impatient, being appropriately patient, however you want to look at it.
I mean, I think that's a hard question to answer because everybody's level of patience is different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think people need to find what...
Can management help with that?
It's hard. I mean, you can... I don't know, because it's one of those things where if we're managing a project, we'll say, and as long as management sets clear parameters and deadlines, then it's within the project for the employees to figure out who the patience level.
Agreed.
The management can set the parameters and the boundaries, then it's whoever's working within that project, they're to figure out what their level of patience is with each other. It's hard, you can teach skills, but it's hard. I think it's an innate thing.
Yeah. Like
some people are just very impatient people. They're constantly charged up.
Right.
There's no slowing down.
Yeah, they personally set their own
right.
patience level, and it often mirrors the patience level they have in their personal life too. There's no separation.
It's very hard to separate the two. Yeah, it is. Because I can always tell with other service providers, I can look at their personal life and tell how they're going to be in business, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I always and you hate to judge people, but if I look at someone and watch how they operate, like at a restaurant, in a crowd with people, how they carry themselves, how they talk, how they walk, the word choices they do, how they conduct themselves personally, I can pretty much pick out the qualities they are in business. And usually I'm 95% accurate.
Yeah, there's tells.
There's not a big separation.
No. The patience thing is funny to me because I think, would you not agree? Mm-hmm. Part of parenting would be to appropriately explain patience and so forth. But I think that us as parents and grandparents, innately, we're not always operating with the greatest patience, and we're not always setting the greatest example. A case in point, like my father, God love him, he was a amazing man in many ways, but he had impatient streaks
Yeah.
that he just could not suppress.
Yeah.
And as kids, we
looked,
we saw that, you know, and it's an example.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
An example, and it's something that it's something I don't think, in my opinion, I know I didn't think much about it.
Okay.
About teaching my children patience.
Okay.
You know, because there were so many other things to worry about teaching them, but acquiring patience as a younger person early can only help you later in life.
Agreed. And I don't think we can teach them patience. We have to show them patience. Like I've learned with kids, like they're gonna do what we do, not what we say.
Exactly right.
And I've learned that. I knew that with Gabe, and that's kind of when it clicked for me. That like that one time he went out with girls, that was the time it clicked for me, because I never told him the way to treat females, and it was just like I said, did you pay for their ice cream? He's like, of course I did. That's what a man does. Right. Like, never told him that. He just always watched, observed. Certainly. So that to me was like that moment in time where, like, shit, they're watching everything, every single thing. So it's my job to be the example for him and for the girls. So I try and show as much patience. I don't tell them, like, be patient. I'm like, I try and show patience. And then when they get frustrated with something, I always say, tell yourself you can't do it yet. You haven't learned how to do it yet. Don't ever say you can't do something. You just haven't learned the skills to do it yet. And if you change that frame of reference, then your possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, you've turned a negative into
right. Like, I just haven't learned how to do it yet. And that's kind of that's the stuff I tell them. But then you got to show them certain things. Like, show them patience. Show them what you're capable of doing. Like, be the example. Don't tell them how to be. Show them how to be.
Yeah, invariably. I mean, a tough thing for a kid to do is know something's coming, like a freight train's coming on, whether it's Christmas, a birthday, an event, and then, count the days down to get there. And I don't know how a parent would appropriately deal with that, because I'm sure I didn't deal with it right. But it's interesting. You can tell people that have been. You can make a guess that certain people have probably been impatient their entire life. When you look into your circle, you probably know people that have been impatient their entire life.
I mean, I always say, and again, this is making a generalization, but if you look at kids that are charged up and impatient, the parents are probably the same way. Very rarely do you see chill parents and an impatient child.
So it's a vibe, then, maybe.
I mean, it really is a guy. I mean, I've known friends of mine who are very, like, impatient, high-strung people, and their kids have reacted the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I've always just been kind of chill. So my kids have always been kind of chill for the most part. Because I do think
high alert.
No, I do think kids get a vibe from their parents.
Certainly.
I think, and it's it's our job. And parenting is the hardest job there is. Let's be real. Like, parenting is the hardest job there is. But I think it's our job to not tell them what to do or how to be, show them what to do and show them how to be. And show them the flaws too. And don't protect them. Like, one thing I'm learning now as I've gotten older, it's not my job to protect my kids from the world. It's to prepare my kids for what is out in the world. That's what my job is.
Yeah, the potentialities. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I used to always think I have to protect them from everything.
Well,
that's how heartbreak, from harm, from hurt.
That's how we got in this mess to begin with.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. But it's like, no. They're going to feel that. They're going to feel heartbreak. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get harmed. It's my job to prepare them with how to deal with it, how to cope with it, and how to come back from it. That's what I have to teach them and show them. That's what it is. Not protect them from it all, not shield them from it. Because they'll go out in the world and not have a fucking clue.
Well, in the end, it's just the teaching of resilience. I mean,
that's it.
It's a word that never gets tossed around enough. But to me, that's everything.
It's the grittiness. Just teaching the ability to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and that looks different today than it did generations prior, right?
Yeah.
It looks different.
It looks a lot different. I mean,
but the perception of what that means is different.
I mean, just look at the shit we did as growing up, like how hurt we always got. And like, just the, like, and if you got hurt, like, you didn't tell your parents.
No.
You hid that shit. You didn't want to get in trouble for getting hurt.
Tolerance level was different.
Right. Like, you didn't want to get in trouble for getting hurt. Now it's like like you would get yelled at, like if you
They want to know how you got hurt,
right? Like how,
and then get ready to yell at you for that behavior.
like we would do stupid shit, and like one of our like we would just like, you go tell your parents we're gonna beat your ass. Like do not tell your parents we were sled riding down an ice hill into a creek and ran into a tree. Don't tell your parents that. Like we were just, someone fell. Like that's it. Like,
We weren't
it was
playing
like
on
we were all
tracks.
right. Like we weren't jumping off buildings. We weren't doing that stupid shit. We weren't cliff diving. We weren't doing this dumb shit. Now it's like kids tell their parents everything, and that's it. There's good and bad to that, right? There is stuff I don't think kids should tell their parents. Like you have to be a kid a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to know everything. I'm there for you to help you through anything. I don't need to know everything.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I know for some that's a slippery slope, but I think I err on the side of exactly what you just said. There's got to be some level of I don't know if you want to use the word privacy, but there needs to be some kind of reverence to the kid experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And growing and figuring things out.
Exactly.
And dealing with pain and dealing with all the emotional torment of first relationships and the birds and the bees and kind of figuring things out. And there's extremes in every regard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every potentiality is always good or bad.
Yeah.
But like that, the ability, if you raise them right, you'd like to think the odds are in your favor.
That's exactly right. If you raise them right. That's
it. The odds are in your favor that push come to shove, they're going to make the right decision or they're going to manage their business in a way that hurts them and others the least possible.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. That's the hope. You're exactly right. And I think we have to let kids be kids, because I think we shielded a generation, and now we have a generation where everybody's about feelings.
Yes,
because we said your feelings matter. Like, not that they don't matter, but we pandered to everybody. We didn't want anybody to feel bad.
Society in general has changed that way.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Guess what? Feelings. Who gives a shit? Do the work. Do the work. If you want something in life, go get it. You know, you don't, just because you feel bad about something. The frustration I have at the age I'm at right now is the entitlement. Is like, people think because they were given something once, they're entitled to it forever. No. That's not how it works. You have to keep earning. You have to keep progressing. You have to keep getting better. Just because you got something once does not mean you're entitled to it just because. But people get butthurt because, oh, this changed or that changed, or, you know, I'll have clients call me where their employees are pissed because they changed a benefit or they changed a comp plan. Who gives a shit? If you don't like it, then work somewhere else. Yes, you're not entitled to that shit.
Yes, and another thing that's going on in society now, which just puzzles me beyond belief, is that when you take that entitlement, and oftentimes you'll see people in society that feel that entitlement because somehow they believe that because they were born here, that things should just be given or opportunities should be provided. But they're also the same people that want to tear down the country that supposedly is giving them all of this stuff. They really their messaging is so off. And it's too easy just to say, well, they're young and they haven't formulated their philosophy yet and all that. It really is it's troubling.
It's very troubling.
It's troubling.
It's very troubling because I always say, if you're going to complain about the country, leave. No one's telling you to stay here.
Right.
But you're here for a reason, because you know it's the best country on the fucking planet. Yeah, so if you don't like it, leave.
People aren't sneaking into Guatemala, man.
Right. That's
exactly, you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. And people need to get, and again, I think we need to get back to a generation or a time where we can bust each other's balls, have fun, not get offended by every little thing, and just live our lives. But right now it's like everybody has feelings about everything. Like, oh,
well, and catering to those feelings naturally puts you on high alert, and no one, I don't know if they want, no one really should go around living on high alert. That shouldn't be a goal.
No, like no one in a workplace should be walking around moping or sad. Because again, like I have friends that have had jobs in other places and they would always complain or be sad. It's like, you have two choices: accept it or change it. Meaning, get a new job or accept where you are. Moping and being upset and crying about it doesn't do anything because no one gives a shit.
Mm-mm.
It makes you look weak, and you're definitely not going to advance because you're like, why is this dude always crying?
Plus, like, I mean, look inward. Your lifestyle, your quality of life, it's hampering all of that.
Well, yeah, and my thing is like, if you're upset about something in the workplace, the first place you need to look is in the mirror, because most employers are not trying to fuck you, right? If you're not advancing or getting things you want, what aren't you doing?
Yeah, that's pretty universal.
Yeah, like I say at the end of every day, was I excellent today? Okay, if I wasn't, what could I have done better? What can I improve upon tomorrow?
Certainly.
That's the question I ask myself every single day.
Certainly.
For 20 years.
Certainly.
Just how do I get better? Like, what did I do well today? What didn't I do well? I don't say what did someone do to me or what did someone not do to me. It's what did I do well? What didn't I do well? And how do I improve tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it's seldom that there's another person involved in the inability for you to achieve your goals.
Yeah. If you don't have something in your life, that's 100% your fault.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has situational circumstances, but the idea is to be able to maneuver through them and work around them. And which is just another notch on your achievement when you do that. I mean, it's part of the process, but also it's some of those tests that you go through on the path to the goal are more important than the ultimate prize sitting at the top of the hill.
Right.
It's what's gained in those tests.
Yeah. It's who you get to become in pursuit of the goal. That's it. That's what, but people are always looking at the objective goal, the money, the compensation, the thing they're trying to get. Look at who you get to become in pursuit of it. If you focus on that, the goal is just the byproduct.
Yeah. And it's hard for people. It's hard.
It was hard for me when I was younger.
Because money, it's like what am I getting here? It's Roan used to say that, take the money over here, take your salary and set it aside. Like, what else am I getting by working here and doing this job? What am I gaining? What am I getting out of it besides the paycheck? And he says, if you really can't figure that out, you're probably at the wrong place.
But here's the thing. Are you trying to get something? Because what happens is a lot of times,
of course,
people just think people should just be telling them what to do, teaching them, like, seek knowledge. Like, if you're in a workplace and you're around smart people and you're not getting anything, you're not trying to get something.
No, you have to become valuable, and the only way to become valuable is that has to come from within. You have to want it.
Yes, I mean that,
pursue it,
and you exactly. You have to go and seek it. Like, I remember when I was a young lawyer, man, I tried to get in every meeting I could. I just sat there and learned, and it was a fly in the wall. I couldn't bill for any of it. It didn't count for anything, other than the knowledge I gained. Yeah, and that got me here.
Of course,
and that's what people need to look at. That like learn from people. Like, where I think the younger generation has gotten caught up, and this comes back to the patience thing. This bring it full circle. They don't play the long game anymore. They want the immediacy. They want the result. I want the money now. I want the money now. I want the money now. I want the bonus now. I want the bonus now. How about play the long game for 2 quarters and watch how much more money you'll make. You may not hit the numbers or your sales quotas or your commission plans if you're in sales over the next 2 quarters. But if you do the work and do the things that may not pay off today, the payoff will be exponentially greater down the road.
No question.
Like, that's how I approached my career when I left corporate. I said, I got to spend time just building relationships. I didn't make any money from it. I was out every day of the week, meeting people. Here's what I'm doing, connecting other people together.
Of course.
And that first year didn't pay shit.
It takes vision, and this is always
foresight. It's all it takes. Think long term.
It's like this is a whole nother podcast, but I've always had this question, like, can you teach vision or can you teach big picture thinking? Can you actually teach that? Because I've heard lots of people say yes, but I've heard a lot of people say
no. I don't think you can.
I really don't have the answer there.
I don't think you can. I think you're either a big picture thinker or you're not. But there's 2 different thought processes, right?
Certainly.
Like, I don't get caught up in details.
Micro, man.
Yeah, I don't get caught up in details. I'm thinking 10 years down the road, and how do I get there? I'm just like, what's the next step I need to do?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I look. And I think, as long as I can see the next step, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Just do that. But I think too many people are looking at what's the next step. What do I get for us?
Correct.
And how do I get this thing?
Yeah, I'm observing a macro manager right now. You know, in my sphere, and not necessarily from my own company, but from another company that is, I think he believes that all of this micromanagement is what will get him to the next level. And what he's ultimately doing by micromanaging these salespeople is he's beating them all into submission and they're all quitting.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
But his vision is so wrapped up in the minutia of everything having to do that. And his way of thinking is like, that's going to show how amazing of an employee and a manager I am. And it's completely backwards. Instead of empowering those, and setting them free and letting them sink or swim based on their own desire.
But you need someone like that. Like that's why Matt and I work so well together, because like he thinks
it's a yin and yang.
He thinks that detail. He sees things I don't even see, and because he's in the details where I'm looking at big picture. Like I'd be fucking taking my car off the bridge if he wasn't there to keep me, to keep things in line. And it's a good balance we have. And I think you've got to find that balance with someone. Like I think you need that
most definitely. And in the accounting field and in a lot of other fields too. I'm not very certain.
And sales is different. Yeah, you're right.
Micromanagement really works.
No, you need. I always looked at when I was in corporate America, like the good sales teams had a visionary leader and an executioner. They had someone that could be the visionary, then someone that can help with the tactical stuff.
Of course,
they could guide the team tactically. Like, hey, this is the vision. I know you can't see that. Here's the 5 things we need to do this week to fulfill that vision down the road.
Certainly, you
need someone that can do that. So you kind of have both. I think
you're right.
The big picture is definitely in the sales organization. That's probably the most important thing. But there is something to say about a tactical person that can not micromanage, but be tactical and provide tactical guidance.
Yeah, I'd make the argument that tactical part has to be self-driven for salespeople, though, for the most part. They can learn, but it's got to be some kind of spark in them. And if they've got that spark, they don't need to be micromanaged. They'll think on their feet and figure it out. They'll figure the process out, but they'll do what they do naturally, and that's be aggressive and go sell. You don't need to micromanage their day in, day out.
No, that's any profession. Like, truly, if you just change your frame of mind. The guy, I can't remember what I was. Well, it was a podcast like a couple of years ago, but the guy was talking about. You've probably heard on other ones now, but he's like, I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work.
Certainly.
Like if you just change that language, this simple change, it's like it's something I get to do this. So how do I maximize it?
Correct.
When you say I have to go to work today, it's like you're done.
It's all philosophy.
But people don't get that. Like if you have the right internal philosophy, that can change everything.
Yeah, mind frame, your daily, hour to hour. Where's your mind at? How do you frame your activities? How do you frame the way you view your day? Because you do it.
Yeah,
you're no one else does that for you,
right? Exactly.
And if you're taking if you're absorbing or ingesting external definitions of your day, then you're lost, and you've lost the whole thing.
You're done.
You're letting other people define your life
in
your pathway, which is just an incredibly bad decision.
No, we get to define how we want it to be, and people need to understand. Like if you just change your frame of reference and you do it, I guarantee if you change your frame of reference, do it consistently for 3 months, your life will look completely different in 90 days.
Certainly,
the way you wake up, the way you approach life, the way you handle situations,
certainly,
it will completely change. But it takes 90 days to do it.
No question.
It's not gonna take a week. It's consistency. You do that, so everything will change.
All right, pal.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. No more politics.
Patience.
Right. No politics this week.
Not yet. Who knows what's good? It changes weekly in this country. Who the hell is going on, dude? All right. Until next week. We're out.